days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time, and it's time for the 49ers versus Arizona Cardinals game preview show.
Hit the graphic. Oh my goodness gracious, and it's the showdowns of showdowns in our home away from home.
Yeah.
That's right. We're back in Arizona, folks. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive into this game. I mean, because the reality situation is huge game, huge implication for the 49ers.
Yeah, 100%. The 49ers need to win this football game. They can't afford to go 0-2 in the NFC West and really start behind the eight ball. A win here would kind of even things out and put them right in the thick of where they want to be, which is in competition for that NFC West spot and winning the division. Because if you do, you get that automatic spot into the playoffs, and that's what you're trying to do. You have to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. I don't know if they're supposed to beat Arizona at this point as far as what outside people would think, but I think inside the building, San Francisco believes that they should beat Arizona Cardinals. They believe they're the best team in the division, but they have to go out there and prove it. So far, they've had ups and downs this season. They haven't put together 4 full quarters. We're kind of expecting them to try to do that, and if they do, they have an opportunity to beat Arizona because Arizona is a good football team, but it's not like you can't be beat if a team plays really well. So the 49ers have to go out there and execute and take care of business. If they do, maybe they'll walk away with a W.
They have consistently put together a half of football. That's what they've done. Whether that was against the Lions, where it was the first half looking great, third quarter for the most part looked pretty solid as well, and then the complete collapse late with the defense and the offense kind of stuttering out, or whether that's week 2, where the offense is a no-go for basically the entirety of the first half, same thing there in week 3, or whether it's week 4, and the first drive looks phenomenal, and then everything else after that is stagnant until later in the fourth quarter of that football game, where they're able to put some stuff together. It's been consistently 2 quarters. We've had the early start and the not late finish. We've had the non-start and the late finish. And now we've had the sandwich in between first quarter, fourth quarter, and in between just nonsensical nonsense. Are we going to get a second and third quarter showing and then first quarter no-show and a fourth quarter no-show? God, I hope not. Let's just put together 4 quarters, because if we can get that done, we can do that. Execute the defense for 4 quarters in the scheme, right? Everyone's doing the things they need to do, and the offense can scheme things up and the run game can get going and stay going throughout the game. The 49ers will have a chance to put some points on the board, but that's all going to depend on the quarterback play and who is actually playing quarterback for the 49ers as well.
Yeah, we don't know who that's going to be.
No.
Is it going to be Jimmy Garoppolo? Is it going to be Trey Lance? Not so sure. I mean, we're going to find out. Jimmy's giving it a go, seeing what he can do, but ultimately the 49ers are going to have to decide off of that. I think that Kyle Shanahan wants it to be Jimmy Garoppolo at this point, in the season, but if Jimmy's not ready to go, he's going to turn to Trey Lance, and he's going to try to put Trey Lance in positions to be successful. And as long as he's able to do that, Trey, has the athletic ability and the arm strength to do the things that, we need to get done. Plus the added element of him in the run game, too. Could be big in this football game, the way he freezes defenders and forces them to play against him. So it will create different angles and opportunities for the 49ers to run the football in this game. But you just don't know because it's going to be a completely different game plan than what we prototypically see from a Kyle Shanahan, Jimmy Garoppolo-led offense.
Not wrong. Not wrong. This is going to be different than it's been in the last few years. And we've seen little differences and little glimpses into that. But the big thing, too, is going to be the addition of Elijah Mitchell probably this week. It's looking like all signs are pointing to go and him being good to go, and what that, jump start and that speed can do for this offense and do for this run game. Because you and I both believe, based on what we've seen on the film, that the running lanes and opportunities for big plays, big hole shot plays are there. You just don't have the speed yet. We're missing the Mosterati desperately. So we may not have the Mosterati, but we got this Mitchell guy, and he's pretty fast. And maybe he's not a Mosterati, but maybe he's like a Ferrari or like a Porsche or a Mustang, and he's got a little bit of speed there in the tank and can get some things going and really open up some of these run lanes and run opportunities. If they can, that can take a lot of pressure off of Trey Lance as well. I mean, the reality of the situation is the run game's going and their linebackers and safeties are having to flow in space and really trying to slow down what the run lanes are. And when the Niners have packed boxes, then when they take those deep shot play action passes, whether they're boots, whether they're half rolls, whether it's just play action sitting in the pocket, and you got Debo running a crosser or a deep route and Ayuk running the crosser across the middle or the deep route, you're going to have some potential shot opportunities there, and we just got to win those matchups. That's one thing that we do need to see is wide receivers winning more matchups. Trent Sherfield had a great showing in the preseason, had a pretty gosh darn good showing early in the season, especially that route against the Lions early in the red zone. Since then has tapered off a little bit in terms of his execution in space. I imagine he's going to be highly motivated in this game against the Arizona Cardinals. Who knows? Maybe this is a breakout week for Trent Sherfield, or maybe it's a breakout week for someone else.
I think a lot of people are going to be motivated for this football game because you're right. These guys should have been winning football games already. They should have beaten Green Bay. They should have handled Seattle, and they didn't. And whether you want to say that's a homer view or not, that's just the way it is. If you watch the film, that's how it's illustrated, and that's what should have happened.
Also 9 points.
Yeah.
You can't ignore 9 points between two football games. Like that has to tell you something. You're a few possessions away on either side of the ball in each of those games. Your defense could have got you a win, or the offense could have got you the win in either game, in either scenario. If you're looking at one possession and being like, this team has no opportunity, no shot whatsoever, this team is trash, you're not being realistic. You're really just being down for the sake of being down, and I don't understand the reason for it. If you're a 49ers fan, 9 points in the last 2 games against a good Green Bay team and Aaron freaking Rodgers, and, just a few points, one series, one touchdown away against Russell Wilson, who we all know cooks, and last year, up until the halfway point of the season, was the league leader. He was the front runner for MVP. That's the kind of potential player that he is. The fact that you're that close, if you're the 49ers, should be a good thing.
Yeah, there's little execution things that they need. Nothing wholesale. There's nothing crazy that they need to fix. The sky isn't falling. These coordinators are doing a good job. I think that the narrative is a little off, and I think once you watch the film, you can see that is what's going on. The 49ers need to execute at a higher level, and that's what they're going to work on. And that's what they're going to work on at practice, and these guys are trying to get better. We also have to remember that we have guys that are playing in this system for the first time. Maybe they're not used to playing it before because they're rookies, or the guys the 49ers have brought in because they've had injuries. So they're learning on the fly, and they're trying to figure this out, whether that is the quarterback or that's a cornerback, or that's a linebacker. Everyone's kind of learning of a different position, and maybe they're a little bit out of position. And maybe they weren't expected to produce right now, and that's what's going on with this team. But once they get it figured out, they're going to come together, and maybe they're going to gel this week. I mean, now that we've gotten through 4 weeks, they've had the opportunity to get out there and play together. Maybe we'll get lucky, and they'll get some of these guys that are injured to be able to play. And if they are, they can put their best foot forward and go out there and try to beat Arizona. They have played Arizona good in the last couple of years, especially last year at the end of the season. They went ahead and knocked Arizona out of the playoffs, took advantage of them, and held them to 12 points. And C.J. Beathard led the 49ers into Arizona to win that football game.
Accurate.
So the 49ers are going to have an opportunity to win this, no matter who is at quarterback. They're going to be fine. So all they have to do is get out there and execute the game plan that Kyle Shanahan puts forward. Now the key is execute, because they haven't been able to do that at a high level yet consistently. Once they are, they're going to rack up the points that they need to rack up. It'll look a lot more like Detroit and less like Philly. And I think that's what we need from them. We need them to get in there and get it done.
Trend towards the Detroit performance offensively. If that's what we're doing, everyone feels a little bit better. It takes some pressure off your defense as well. And then D'Amico Ryans and this defense won't make the same mistakes in terms of how much they sag off and things of that nature. And guys will be able to execute better because you've had those situations early. You faltered in some of those situations early. And now you should be comfortable enough to know what it is that you need to do and what it is you need to take away in order to come out of those games with the momentum that you need to continue going forward. And offensively, key matchups, got to get to these because these are important for the 49ers to execute in order to come out with a big fat W and for the offense to click. What's yours?
Mine is the 49ers offensive line against the Cardinals front. And the reason I say front is because Chandler Jones is actually a linebacker. I didn't want to say D-line. I figured I would get some people who's not a D-lineman. I understand. So I said front. I want these guys to, this offensive line to be able to establish this run game early. They're able to establish this run game early. It's going to make everything easy. We want to make things easy on Trey Lance or Jimmy Garoppolo if he's in the pocket because Jimmy's not going to be mobile. He's not going to be able to move very well, so we're going to have to keep him clean. And because he's not going to be mobile, they're going to come after him. If it's Trey Lance, we want Trey Lance to feel comfortable where he doesn't have to look at the rush, but he can find the open receiver that he needs to go to. So this running game needs to get going, and that all starts with the offensive line. They were creating holes against Green Bay. They were creating holes, especially against Seattle. There are running lanes, and they're able to get going in this game, and then that really helps the pass game. When they're not successful is when they know you have to pass, and they can really turn these defensive guys after them. You saw what happened early in this season where Chandler Jones had 5 sacks, and that's because They knew the other team was down and had to throw every single time, and they came after him. We get into that situation with J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones and these guys that they have, Marcus Golden, they're going to get after the 49ers offensive line, and they're going to create havoc. We need this to happen early. So establish the run, get it done. 49ers do. They have a chance to win the football game.
100% they do, man. They have to. Winning against this front, winning against Chandler Jones, keeping him off the quarterback, right? All of those things are huge. They're big time. So, yeah, this is huge. That's a huge key matchup there. And I feel like mine is kind of also important here because it helps with the other aspects. It's the biblical proportions, Mr. Simmons versus Elijah Mitchell. Because if you're taking care of that front ant, now you're putting Elijah Mitchell in situations in that run game where he's going to have guys, speedy guys, coming after him in space, including Mr. Isaiah Simmons, who has been leading the way in tackles for them and really elevated and stepped up his play. He was kind of a hybrid guy. They almost felt like they didn't know what to do with him last year, and that was one of the concerns coming out of the draft. A lot of people were talking about this with Isaiah Simmons. How are you going to utilize him? What position is he playing in your defense? What are you doing? They've got it down now. They know where they want to use him as. They use him in coverage very well. They use him out in space as a tackler very well, and he's leading the way and leading the charge there for that team. Jordan Hicks has stepped up and elevated his level of play as well, and that's pushing Zaven Collins, a guy who hasn't been getting as many snaps and opportunities, but when he is on the field, is looking good. They do have weapons. They do have pieces. Being able to take care of Elijah Mitchell in terms of giving him the run lanes and opportunities for those whole shot potentialities, and being able to block and account for Isaiah Simmons when you can. And also when Elijah Mitchell has him potentially one-on-one in space on potential route opportunities, win. Win, young man, win. Because if you're winning those matchups, you're going to make this horizontal stretch that the Niners like to run. It's going to open up the middle of that field, which means potential for him to have big hole plays on receiving catches as well as runs up the middle.
Right.
And we know how well this Texas route works against this Arizona Cardinals defense and those linebacking core. So if we can get that horizontal stretch working early, get the run game working early, outside zone, sweeps, things of that nature, or just, counters, cutback lanes, running inside zone plays and being able to cut back through and have big hole play opportunities. Play action is going to work. It's going to muck up that middle of the field in terms of them being able to just sit there. It's going to suck guys up into space. And if we're sucking guys up into space, that means potential deep shots downfield or at least intermediate throws. So depending on the quarterback, right? If it's Jimmy Garoppolo's 15, 18-yard plays in the middle of the field, digs, crossers, things of that nature, will all be there. And the big deep shots for Trey Lance, if he's in there and he's the guy operating, will open up as well.
It's all about getting the run game going and that play action game coming off of it. Once you get it established, those linebackers have to step up into the box and play their run fits. And if they don't, then you're going to be able to gash them for 4 or 5 yards of carry. So right away, you get it going. You make those linebackers commit to the run. And once they do, you're going to take advantage of those open areas in the middle of the field where you can throw the football. That's why Jimmy Garoppolo always makes sense for the offense, because that's where Kyle Shanahan wants him to live and breathe, and they really do a good job there. So it's going to be interesting how they handle it. And you're right about Simmons. I mean, he struggled last year covering Raheem Mostert out of the backfield. He ran the route and boom, touchdown. That was in the first game of the year. So Simmons can get caught out of position. He's a very instinctive player, very good. I think he's going to be tough. I think he's going to be tasked a lot with George Kittle. Him and Buda Baker are going to be splitting some time on that. So that'll be interesting how they play George Kittle. I'm sure they're going to try to take George Kittle away. And then they're going to have to pay some attention to Deebo Samuel, because if you don't right now, the way that Deebo's getting it going, he's going to get after you. So, yeah, I think that right away we're both on the same page. It's all about the run game, and then that's going to dictate how everything else goes. And it doesn't really matter who the quarterback is. If that run game doesn't go early, they're going to be in some trouble. So we'll see how Arizona decides to play this. If they try to muck it up early, I think they will. They'll probably put 5 guys at the line of scrimmage, and they'll really try to force the 49ers to run the football. Throw the football early in this game, especially with Trey Lance. But one thing we got going for us if Trey Lance is in there is he can run the read option game. So he'll be able to freeze outside guys. As long as he makes the right reads, there's going to be opportunities to move the football in the run game as well, because he can use his legs to do that. And he has to be willing to pull. He wasn't willing to pull last game in any of his read option opportunities. He has to be willing to pull. And if he does, then they'll have to consider him a legitimate runner and then pay attention to him always. And
that will open up RPO opportunities as well for outside plays, whether that's slants or whether that's bubble screens. RPO, little bubble actions are there. They are available. We saw a couple of looks where Trey could have pulled on those RPOs and thrown out in space and literally had Deebo Samuel one-on-one with a safety who was 20 yards downfield.
Yep.
Those opportunities will be there. And if the running game is successful, you have to pack the box. And if you pack the box, you're singling up on the outside. And if you single up on the outside and we dial up the RPO, the right RPO at the right time and space, big play potentiality for the 49ers. We'll see if that happens. We'll see if they're able to get that going. but from offense to defense, and we got to talk about other key matchups and things the Niners got to do. And I'll start with mine on the defense. It's really, really simple for me. Azeez Al-Shaair has stepped up each and every week. There's a guy in that running back in that backfield for Arizona who's been stepping up. Kenyon Drake, they brought it, or not Kenyon Drake, excuse me, my goodness gracious, James Conner, they brought him in to take over for Kenyon Drake. But Chase Edmonds is the guy who's been shining the last few weeks, whether that's receiving out of the backfield, runs up the middle. James Conner has evolved now into a power role in that offense. He's a short yardage back. He's the guy who's operating in the goal line, and Chase Edmonds is operating more as their spread guy, especially when they like to go their four wide receiver sets. They'll bring him in. Azeez Al-Shaair, I have a feeling, Ant, we're going to see a lot of nickel this week, which means potentiality for Azeez Al-Shaair to have to cover in space against a guy like Chase Edmonds. That's going to be a very tough task, but can he keep him in front of him and tackle at the sticks? If he does so, and Azeez has been doing that very, very well, 49ers can limit things, force Kyler into checkdowns. Azeez can tackle before the sticks, get us off the field on third downs. It's going to be a key. We got to get off the field on third downs. We cannot keep getting penalties. We cannot give up big plays.
Yeah, you're right. And you're talking about, getting off the field on third down. And one thing that D'Amico Ryans has been going with consistently is man coverage on third down. And you've seen Russell Wilson be able to scramble for a touchdown on one last week where they did the same thing. This week, I don't know if you can go man on third down because you got Kyler Murray. So you're going to have to kind of try to mix it up. And so my key matchup is actually going to be the 49ers defensive line versus Kyler Murray. The reason being is we really need to keep Kyler Murray in the same spot all the time. That's why I called it Groundhog Day, because I want this guy to see the same things over and over. It's no lanes for him to throw, no lanes for him to be able to run, just him feeling like he's confined in a certain area. Make him beat you from the pocket consistently, and if he does, you tip your hat and you say, great job. The one thing you can't let him do is get outside the pocket where he can create an open space. That's where the big plays happen. So I think it's all about that. It's all about regulating this guy and keeping him in the box. And you talk about Azeez being out there in coverage. Him and Fred are going to have to do a good job also of locating where Kyler Murray is and filling in those voids. When an open spot opens, they're going to have to be there to make sure they fill it. I think the 49ers will come up with a good game plan to use those extra DBs that they put on the football field to help keep Kyler Murray in situations that they want, force him to run left where he has to throw against his body. He's still good at it, but he's not as good as rolling right.
True. So
they're going to take advantage of those things, but it is all about the defensive line making sure that you keep integrity more than ever before, more than Russell Wilson, more than Jalen Hurts. This is the guy that's the most dynamic with the ball in his hands right now, scrambling, in my opinion.
I don't even think you need to justify with your opinion, Ant, because it shows on film. He really is. He's dangerous. And look, and if you can find him to the pocket and he's struggling early, then you know what the next step is going to be, and that is going to be to get this guy on the move, which means moving the pocket, rolling this guy out, which means more designed, designated things like screens going in the opposite direction, slip screens going the other way, or flood. You got flood concepts. And there's a lot of different ways to run flood concept. But when you have a flood concept, Ant, it's very easy to understand that you're going to attack levels of the field and attack a side of the field. So now you can predict where they're going to be. And every coordinator and scheme has tendencies in terms of where they like to attack those levels. So you can better prepare for that. And again, force their hand into certain situations to get Kyler on the move. Makes them a little more predictable. But you got to keep him in the pocket. And that is not an easy task.
Yeah.
Now, the 49ers have had success. They have had success against Kyler in the past. Will they continue to have that success? I hope to God so. The D-line is crucial this week to be able to execute those things, make Kyler uncomfortable, make him want to get rid of the football fast. He's also a smaller guy in the pocket. You got big guys on the interior that they can get their hands up and knock footballs down, or at least make him make bad throws over the top. So getting those hands up in space, knocking passes down, or at least try to make Kyler throw through tight windows. Having to throw through tight windows, and he's not able to do it successfully or consistently. Positive things for the 49ers, and who knows, Ant? Maybe some freaking turnovers for once.
Hopefully. And these speed rushers that are on the outside for the 49ers can't go too far upfield.
Yes.
You can't overrun this and leave a little avenue for him to be able to leak out. Also, the defensive line, no plays off. You guys have to get a push on the interior. And if they do, they can collapse this pocket around him. They're going to have to be very, very good at what they do and stay in defined roles. Aggression is not always the best way to go this week.
True.
Sometimes it's better just to play it slow and give Kyler Murray the opportunity to try to beat you with his arm, because his legs will beat you if he gets out of the pocket. So I'm curious how they ultimately play it, how they scheme it up. Usually when they do this, they bring extra guys to help fill those extra lanes, so it won't always be 4 guys. But you're right, if they have to move the pocket and they have to make it so he can only read one side of the field, that is a major win for the 49ers and a loss for Kingsbury. And I don't think Kingsbury wants that. I'm curious how they end up handling this, whether that is with their run game or, like you said, the quick screen game, getting the ball out quick. 49ers have proven that they have the guys on the outside that can make those tackles on that smoke screen and stuff. And if they do, this could be a long game for the Cardinals, and then maybe the Cardinals can get shut down a little bit.
It's true. I mean, screens have not worked very well against the 49ers, save a few, right? A few of them. And even on those ones, guys were in the right place to make plays and didn't. Couple early in the season, right? You had the Sanders one that I can remember, as well as the DeAndre Swift one that ended up being a touchdown against the 49ers in week 1. Since then, screens have been relatively negated by the 49ers, and you can tell the D-line front is aware. As soon as they start to go and they feel that, like, hey, this was really easy, it's almost in sync. And we had one this past week in the film breakdown where you had literally Armstead and I believe it was DJ Jones, as guys are releasing, both planning, turning, and getting down the line, scraping down the line to attack that screen. These guys are smart, they're intelligent, they're prepared. But you're right, Ant, that slow rush at times is going to be important.
Yeah.
Those guys on the edge slowing it down a little bit, really forcing Kyler to stay in that pocket, operate in that pocket. But that doesn't mean slow rush necessarily from the interior middle guys. They still need to get after it. Sometimes they get a little caught up with hand fighting and aren't able to shut off those blocks. Collapse that pocket, squeeze it down, make Kyler dread every moment of standing in there, make him want to get out of that pocket, because if he wants to get out of that pocket when he doesn't need to, it's going to lead to sack opportunities for the 49ers and mistakes.
Yeah, definitely. I look for Maurice Hurst to be one of those guys that makes an impact in this game, the way that he has such lateral movement. Also watch for DJ Jones once again with that inside swim move. That play has been fantastic. Inside stunts also is this a time. Maybe not so much TE stunts on the outside with Bosa in the tackle or D4 in the tackle, but inside stunts could be working this week, especially with Armstead and those guys on the interior. If you put Ebucom or you put Arden Key on the inside and you run a stunt with Armstead, that could be fantastic.
Absolutely, man. It definitely can be. It's going to be interesting to see how D'Amico Ryan schemes this up, what Chris Kacerek wants to do with this group, and the pairings that he puts out there, because there's a lot of interesting pairings you can put out there. You imagine you want a little bit more speed to try and deal with Murray at times, but you also got to find a way to muck up that middle and get that push up the middle, so you can't just roll with small guys. So we'll see what happens. We'll see where that leads. But from matchups and key matchups and what this 49ers offense should and should not be doing, defense, what they should and should not be doing, it's time for Wow That's Bold, where we give you our bold predictions and bold takes for this Week 5 game against the Cardinals.
Wow, that's really bold. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
Whoa, it's super bold. It's Wow That's Bold. And Ant, we each got one for the offense, one for the defense. Last week, the offensive Wow That Bold for you was ticking and trending in the right way after that opening drive. You and I both got our hopes up that we were finally, a Wow That's Bold is going to come true. Not so fast, said the 49ers. Not so fast, said the Seattle Seahawks. And ended up fizzling very quickly for the 49ers. But it's a new week. It's a new opportunity. It's a new time. What do you got offensively for Wow That's Bold this week?
So my Wow That's Bold this week is going to bounce off what I had for my key matchup, because I believe the 49ers are going to have to get after it in the run game, and I think they're going to. And whether that is with Jimmy Garoppolo as a quarterback or Trey Lance as quarterback or both of them at times, I think there's going to be opportunities to move the football, and I think the 49ers are going to move the football in a big way with the emphasis on it. And my Wow That's Bold is that the 49ers run game is going to account for over 200 yards against the Cardinals.
Look, I'm going to take that Wow That's Bold that you just did and then make it more refined and specific, Ant. Very specific about what's going to happen. I'm also going to play off of my key matchup as well. Common theme this week from the both of us.
Yep.
I like where your head's at, my guy. Elijah Mitchell, first game back. I've seen the scheme. I've seen the blocking. I've seen the holes. I've seen the possibilities, Ant. I can see it. It's going to happen. Elijah Mitchell is going to turn this thing in this run game into a force, into a monster. 115 yards, Ant, and 2 tutties for the young man. Big week for Elijah Mitchell.
I like it.
Going to get this run game going. He's going to be the main contributor in that 200 yards that you got, but it's going to open up a lot of things in the pass game also.
Yeah, that definitely will do that, and that's the whole point behind it. Is let's get this run game going. Once we do, we know Arizona's going to have to adjust, and they're going to have to bring an extra guy into the box. And once they do, it's going to leave play action opportunities for the quarterback, whoever that is, to take shots, whether that's in the intermediate or down the field.
Hopefully
I look for both of them to be able to to get it done when their number is called. So I'm excited about this potential and opportunity. I think this Wow That's Bold can actually happen.
I hope it does, man. It's not maybe as bold as some of our other bold takes,
right?
But at this point, we're just looking for something that's bold but could happen. Because if it happens, Not only are we Nostradamuses, right? It's going to be a good thing for San Francisco, and that's what we want. We want good things from San Francisco. And I think also defensively here, wow, that's bold. It's going to be a tough task. This is bold.
Right.
For two reasons. Number one, Arizona Cardinals offense has been lights out. And number two, they've been putting up a lot of points. Wow, that's bold, Ant. Defense is going to hold them to 13 points and under 275 yards of total offense.
Wow.
We've seen this defense have success. DeMeco Ryans has schemed it up really, really well. He's done a great job of putting the Niners in good positions. We saw the halftime adjustments against Green Bay and the things they were able to do to slow down Aaron Rodgers. We saw basically how dominant that defense was up until Seattle started dealing with short fields. And then late in the game on their last scoring drive, they get two bailout calls on an offsides and a bogus PI that extend the drive, give them two more opportunities to put the ball in the end zone. No more. No more PIs, Ant. No more nonsensical offsides calls when we saw three other plays on film where they could have called the same thing and didn't in other situations because, the game was potentially out of reach and there's no reason to call it to an extended drive. Nonsense that's been going on with this official crew in the NFL. Official crew, get it cleaned up. Stop being SAWFT soft. And the 49ers defense is going to execute because of it.
I like it. I mean, I think if that happens, the 49ers have a very good opportunity to win the football game.
You would think so.
And that's what we want. So, I mean, would it shock me if the 49ers came in and stymied the Arizona Cardinals and flipped the NFC West up on his head? I don't think so. That doesn't shock me any. I mean, nothing shocks me at this point, just the way that the games have been going. It's an up and down season, and you got to hope there's more ups than there are downs. And one of those things that could help the 49ers is my wild that's bold on defense is that the 49ers create 2 turnovers. They get in the plus category in this one where they create turnovers, and that helps the 49ers offense be able to get the ball into the end zone early in this football game. And we really need the 49ers to start creating turnovers like they did in 2019. They haven't been doing that. In fact, they've been struggling. It's a drought of turnovers, and they need to get it done, and they need to get it done in a big way. And since Trey Greenlaw's been out, we haven't had those turnovers. So I think this is the game where we create a couple. I think the pass rush gets home a little bit. It causes Kyler to kind of rough, try to get some balls over the middle, and we get some interceptions, maybe even a fumble recovery. And then ultimately that will help create the opportunity, like you said, for under 275 yards, if yours is correct. And the 2 turnovers, like I said, I think we'll be feeling pretty good about the 49ers having a chance to win.
Could be a rout, Ant. Could be a rout if something like that happens. Yeah. And look, the Niners have been close. I mean, this is bold because it hasn't happened yet, but the Niners have been close. Think about it. There have been the last couple of weeks, there have been opportunities for turnovers, and the ball literally just has not bounced San Francisco's way. It literally just has not taken the bounce needed for the Niners to come up with it. This could be the week. The football gods back in our favor. We've had 2 rough weeks. We've made our sacrifice. Football gods bestow us with a couple of bounces that go our way. And now our wild that's bolds come true. We're looking pretty good, feeling pretty good. And the Niners coming out with a big fat W, moving to 3-2 and going into the bye, getting reinforcements, and mucking up the NFC West, and everyone's 1-1. That'd be a dream come true. Be a dream come true for us. Be a dream come true for the Cutback crew and for our buddy Esteves, who, funny enough, it's time for Lock It Up, where we make our predictions, right? Our predictions for all the NFC West games as well as NFC games, which is the case this week, seeing as we have another NFC West matchup, across the board with both teams playing each other. We got 2 additional games, and Esteves is here with his picks. Let's check in with our boy here. It's time for Lock It Up.
This is the Azorean one. If you're watching this, you are the resistance. Everything has changed. Everything since that day. The day posts fell and friends vanished. I experienced that day like many of you did. The day we'll never forget. October 4th, 2021. The day Facebook became self-aware. For hours, everything we cared about vanished. Likes, comments, shares, scantily clad profile pics, meme-influenced, independent, and thorough scientific research. All of it gone. Facebook had us beat. But the fight isn't over. There's air in our lungs. And our hearts still beat. We are now in the age of the social war. And we will see this through to the end. I promise you that. Oh, and these are my lock it up picks for Week 5 in the NFC West. 2 special games again, since 2 NFC West games feature all 4 teams. I'm taking the Rams over the Seahawks. I'm taking Washington over the Saints. I'm taking the Cowboys over the Giants. And of course, the Niners over the Cardinals. Stay strong. This is the Azorean one. And we are the resistance.
It's time for Lock It Up.
Lock it up, baby.
Ready to make these picks. I need to get my wins up. The 49ers hampered me again. The Saints lost to the Giants, which really didn't help.
The derped up our picks, man.
Yeah, and then the Rams couldn't get it done against the Cardinals. So 3 big losses for me.
3 big losses for everybody. It was 3 big losses across the board. Literally everyone went 1-3.
Not happy.
And look at this, Ant. We have our first below 500 team, the TCC. Oh boy, y'all got it.
We're rooting for you. We're wearing the shirts.
See, the Cutback Crew shirt. We totally didn't plan this either. It just happens like
organic.
Just happen. But it's fine. Now, this is lock it up time. We're gonna make our picks for the NFC West. We're gonna lock it up just like our boy B Valentino just locked it up in the 49ers Cutback shop. He just copped himself some sweet merchandise, 49ers Cutback shirt and sticker logo. So y'all should go get on the B Valentino train and head over to the merch shop after this as well. But let's make our picks. Let's talk about these NFC games. You've seen what Esteves has to say, that wily gentleman over there. But now we need to get into it ourselves. And we'll start with the Washington football team versus the Saints. And where are you going on this one?
You know what? This one is kind of tougher than I thought it was going to be, because I thought the Saints were going to handle the Giants last week, and they let me down. And famous Jameis doesn't usually let me down from my fandom at Florida State.
True.
He always got it done for us. Unfortunately, he didn't get it done last week. But you know what? He's back, and he's going to get it done for the Saints this week, and he's going to win. And I think he's going to win, though, 19-17. I think this one's going to be razor thin, but Jameis makes just enough plays to win.
I have 24-17 Saints. I think to get a touchdown late.
Okay.
There's one thing I like about the Saints right now, Ann. One thing that I'm absolutely loving more than anything else in the entire world. That is famous Jameis. Because it's not famous Jameis's turnover factory. No, the turnover factory has been shut down and has been repurposed into a distribution center for famous Jameis completions. Famous Jameis completions are everywhere. He's not turning the ball over, and when he is taking risks, he's taking calculated, smart risks that aren't going to end in big mistakes. And this is the Jameis Winston that I thought if I ever saw, he could be something special. Here's the only problem right now that he's dealing with. Limited weapons offensively in terms of guys to throw to, which is why the numbers aren't as crazy as we've seen. We saw the big week 1, came back down to earth week 2, had a really solid week 3, comes back down to earth in week 4. There's a trend, and that trend is boding well for him here in week 5. Alvin Kamara going to get some things going. Offense is going to get clicking. And look, Paulson Adebo has looked great last week for the first time all season. He's human, Ant. He's human. He makes some mistakes, but Paulson Adebo is going to bounce back in a big way. I think the Saints are going to take care of business.
I like it.
Cutback Crew agrees with that prediction. 79% of them rolling with the Saints. The Azorean one went with the Washington football teams. And just by chance, Horst ends up, behaves feeling 50-50 about this as well. And it lands one way for Horst, and he decides to go with the Washington football team. So interesting game picks there. But now we got to get into this other officially NFC games this week. It's all NFC teams.
Right.
You're welcome, Cutback crew. You're welcome. Cowboys-Giants, and this is a game, Ant, that for a lot of people I don't think is very tough. I don't know if it was very tough for you. I don't want to speak for you, and I don't want to speak for Horst. It was tough for me. The Derp has derped up a lot of games this year. But unlike in past years, they've actually done a pretty good job defensively of slowing teams down, making things close. It's been some just miscues, whether that's special teams miscues, whether that's offensive miscues, guys dropping footballs. But it hasn't been Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones hasn't been the reason. And Saquon Barkley is getting healthy. And Ant, I'm doing it again, baby! Gigantes! Gigantes by 3, 21-17, technically 4. 21-17 Gigantes. I think they can get this done. If they can get the run game going, that's the key. Keep Dak Prescott off the field. If you can find a way to disrupt him as well in the pocket and make things uncomfortable, you have a chance. I have faith. I have faith in the Giants.
Yeah, I see it going the other way. I see Dallas Cowboys winning this game, and I think it's going to be because Zeke is going to get the running game going for Dallas.
Okay.
They're going to establish a running game early, and that's going to create opportunities for Dak to hit these, very talented receiving core, and they're going to score some points. I don't think it's going to get out of hand, though. I think this game is going to be, a battle back and forth. These are two, teams that are rivals. So it's going to be well fought, but I think that the Cowboys win 28-20.
I like that one a lot. Horse goes with the Cowboys as well. The Cutback crew, 77% going with the Cowboys, and the Azorean one obviously went with the Cowboys. You already saw that. Look, it is going to be a close game, man. I agree with you 100% on this. Definitely could be a make or break game for everyone here in the league, right? With our pick'ems this week, it's going to be an interesting one. But we got to get to the first NFC West game that's on the docket. You saw what Esteves picked for Rams versus the Seattle Seahawks tonight, Thursday night football, right before we go live with our Q&A live stream, so make sure you're there for that. But Ant, who do you have in this matchup between the Rams and the Seahawks? Can the Seahawks actually get this done, move to 2-0 in the NFC West, and really assert themselves back atop the top of the conference? Or are the Rams going to muck this thing up and potentially get everyone almost to 1-1, barring the 49ers performance?
This one is going to be interesting because I do believe the Los Angeles Rams are a better football team, but the game is in Seattle. And anytime you play in Seattle and you have to deal with the 12, it's going to be a little bit harder. But the Rams have proven through the years that they're able to do this, and this is something that McVay is good at, about going to Seattle and being able to play them really tough. And I think that they're going to respond from the big loss that they had against Arizona. They're going to want to bounce back. They're going to strike back. I think they're going to do that in a big way because the game plan that Kyle Shanahan implemented is going to help McVay and his offense implement a game plan to take advantage of Seattle, and they have a quarterback that can continue to do this trend. So I think Matthew Stafford picks them apart a little bit. They take advantage of rhythm throws, and they go ahead and take advantage of the Seahawks overall. But I think the Seahawks and Russ make it close, 34-31.
I like that one, Ant. That's a really, really good one there. You can see Horst going with Seattle there just by happenstance, just by chance there. He takes the Seattle Seahawks. Cutback crew 83% with the Rams.
Yeah.
You already know what the Azorean one went with, and I'm in the same boat as you. What this comes down to me is that defensively, after watching that All-22 film, Seattle didn't do a whole lot. They really didn't. The Rams are going to take advantage of the fact that they have this film now of Seattle's defense against an offense and a schemer, much like McVay is. He's going to be able to find weaknesses and poke holes, and he's going to be able to self-reflect, too, on what went wrong against Arizona, the way that their defense attacked their offense, and the way that their offense attacked the defense. Find a way to come out and scheme and take away DK Metcalf, make him struggle, make Tyler Lockett struggle, and with potentially no Chris Carson and no big, powerful downhill runner, that could spell problems for Seattle's run game and them being able to get their offense going early. I think they struggle early. I think the Rams get out to a big lead, play a little comfortable, and then Russ starts to cook a little bit, and this thing gets closer. 32-24, Los Angeles.
Interesting score.
I try, and mix it up every once in a while. I just got to keep it fresh. Look, big game now. Huge game. Biggest game in the podcast. Biggest game of the season because it's week 5 and it's the next game. So, of course, it's the biggest game. But it's an opportunity for the 49ers to put themselves above 500. It's an opportunity for the 49ers to put themselves right back into contention in the NFC West and really muck this thing up and make it 1-1 potentially across the board so long as the Rams take care of business on Thursday night. You saw what Esteves went with. And what are you going with? Do you still have faith? Are you sticking with your San Francisco 49ers?
That call alone almost made me throw up, so I appreciate that. I will say this, is that There was a time last year that I picked against the San Francisco 49ers where I believe that they were going to lose, and there wasn't an opportunity for them to win.
And he ended up being right about that pick, by the way.
I was. I will say this, though. I'm not ready to go that route yet. I still have belief in my football team. I have belief in Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. I think they're a better football team than they've played so far. I don't think they put a complete game together yet this season, and I'm hoping they do it now because this would be a great time to put it together against Arizona and really knock them off and take care of business. But it's going to be a rough one. It's going to be tough. They're not going to go in there, and it's not going to be easy. They're not going to go rough them up. I would be completely shocked if that happened. I got this coming down to the wire, but I have the 49ers executing just enough plays to get it done and winning the game 27-20.
I like that there. This is kind of where I'm at, too. My thought process is the same as yours on this. We've watched the All-22 film. I've seen enough from Kyle Shanahan, D'Amico Ryans to know they're dialed in. They're putting guys in the right spots, and it's just a matter of time. Matter of time of these guys getting comfortable, recognizing what they're seeing, and feeling like, they're better prepared than the opponent and just trust what their eyes are telling them, and they go out and execute it better than their opponent can. Their opponent possibly can. They don't seem to be out of position. They don't seem to be lost. Calls aren't being made, and there's no one in space. There's always a guy there. There's always an opportunity to make a play. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Eventually, they're going to start making all of them, and when they do, and they put that 4 full quarters together, it's going to be freaking glorious. It could be this week, and it possibly could be this week, and you know what? I'm going with it. I'm sticking to it. It is going to be this week.
Ooh, I like it.
Because the Arizona Cardinals are only going to put up 13 points.
Wow.
You already heard what my Wild That's Bold was. You know what I think.
Last year they held them to 12. So
you know what I think about the yardage. I think they can keep the yardage under. That's what I want them to do. And if they do, 13 points total for the Arizona Cardinals, which should just be mind-blowing. And the Niners are going to find a way to put up 28. Put themselves right back into that conversation of a higher scoring offense. And you got yourself a nice big fat win. Cutback crew, 86%. Last week it was 83. I don't know what happened. 3 percentage points more. We'll take it, Cutback crew. And the Azorean one also going with San Francisco. Clean sweep there on San Francisco. Is that the first game? That's the first game with a clean sweep. Every game had at least one thing different.
True.
So this will be interesting. Going into week 6, going into the bye week, lock it up, and the records is going to look very, very different than it has in weeks past.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be different. This is going to be a battle till the end of the season. Hopefully, we pick more games than we right than we do wrong. But it is ever changing in the wild NFC West, and this is kind of what you expect. So picks are going to be all over the place, and it's going to be fun. I'm curious to see how this ultimately turns out. But really, I just want my 49ers to win. I don't care if I win, lock it up or not. If the 49ers win, if the 49ers lose and I lose, lock it up, world is over. Over. I'm done.
Just there's no point to even worry about it anymore. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But no, hey, this is exciting times. And man, I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to seeing how this week 5 plays out.
So lock it up is done, Alex. We have made our picks. No shock that me and you went with the 49ers.
No, I mean, no shock that we went with the 49ers at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
We're not surprised that we went with the 49ers. We picked our team. We went with our guys. And I was a little surprised with a couple of the other picks as well. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting week. Some of those other matchups, especially that Washington game, is going to be a little different. It's a little odd just because of how things have played out. And the New York Giants, who knows? Maybe they won't let me down and derp it up. I would appreciate it. Danny Derps, stay away. Stay Danny Dimes. Receivers, catch the football for the love of God. And Saquon Barkley, do your thing, man. Do your thing, because there's nothing worse in this world. Nothing worse in this world than a successful Cowboys football team. I will tell you what. I don't need Cowboys fans feeling joy. Back to misery. Take care of business, Giants.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And I think that, the 49ers need to make sure that Arizona doesn't feel any more joy either.
Accurate.
They are sitting on top of the NFC West, and I can't stand for it. I need the 49ers to get this victory. There's too many questions surrounding this team, too much, drama and negativity that's going on, and I want it all to stop. I want it to be quenched. Quench my thirst, please, for a W and get this win. And I think we have an opportunity to do so. I think we have the talent on offense and defense to win. Question is, will they be able to execute? If they execute, they can win. If they don't, they're not going to. It's that simple. Arizona and these teams in the NFC West are no joke. They're very good football teams, and you have to play a game to win. And when you don't, when you put together a C game like you did against the Seahawks, you end up losing. Even though they're not as good as the other two teams in the division, in my opinion, I think that they need to go ahead and get it done. And I think the 49ers can and put themselves right in the thick of things. Get it done, Niners. Win this football game.
Look, you can afford to have one side of the ball play A and one side of the ball play C in certain games with certain teams, right? We saw that against the Lions, especially late in that game. Offense,
2 minutes.
I mean, the last 2 minutes, it was nonsense by the defense, and you're just sitting there going, "Oh my God, can we just make it through this? Can we find a way to survive?" And we did. But if you can just find a way to put together both sides of the ball for 4 quarters, all of these issues go away. All the concerns go away. And instead what you get is the people going, "Where was this the first 4 weeks?" I would much rather have those conversations than the what is happening, what's going on, the calls for Shanahan, it's time to go, the calls for D'Amico Ryans, he's not as good as Saleh. The All-22 film speaks otherwise. The opportunities are there. The play calling is there. The times for big plays are there. And at times we execute, and at times we don't. That has to change. You need to execute more times than you're not, and you need to execute on crucial downs and distances because that's something that hasn't happened. If the 49ers can turn that around, if these playmakers can start winning those matchups, quarterbacks finding their reads, line making their blocks on certain downs and distances and situations, it's only a few guys. It's different guys. It's not the same guys every play. That's the good news if you're the 49ers. It's not one dude or 2 repeating names over and over and over again. It's different guys at different points in time. They clean those things up, Ant. They play a little bit solid, a little bit more cleaner of a football game, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You can not execute in a third down situation one time in the game and then change that. On defense, you can have one slip up on a drive on a third down, but you got to buckle down the rest of the way. They can clean these things up. One play. That's all it takes. One more drive on offense and one more drive on defense, and our fortunes change for this football team. Let's get it done in Week 5.
Situational football, complementary football, create turnovers. If you do that, you're going to win this football game.
Let's do it.
I think that they can do that. Those are all the things you're going into as a team, and I think they're looking to do this. Hopefully they're healthy enough to get it done, and if they are, they're going to get in there and beat Arizona, and we need this win because it would really change the complexity of what this season looks like and the outlook on how it is. And I think they have the opportunity. I still believe in this team, and until they prove that I can't trust them anymore, I'm going to stick behind them, and I'm going to roll with them all the way till the end.
I'm going to do the same thing, my guy. This isn't like last year where it just seems like we have one or 2 pieces that just can't get it done and there's no overcoming it. That's what it felt like last year, and when we watched film back, that's what it was. There's 1 or 2 pieces. You just can't overcome those 2 pieces and what they're doing and what they're adding to this group. That's not this team this year. It's not 1 or 2 pieces.
Right.
You have guys playing solid. You have guys playing well. Put it together this week, and we got ourselves an incredible football team heading into the bye and all the momentum in our favor. Cutback crew, let us know what you thought about the preview show in the comment section below. Right this instant. Are you excited? Are you nervous? Are you worried? And why? Let us all know. If Trey's quarterbacking, how you feeling? If Jimmy's quarterbacking, how you feeling? I think I have an idea, 50-50 down the middle, how everyone feels. But we still want to hear from you about it, so let us know about it down there. And while you're down there commenting away, don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the Cutback crew and join the community. Don't miss out on any of this great content.
Yeah, I'm curious what people's thoughts are on this. I mean, I wonder how many people think that are 49er fans think Arizona is going to win this football game. I think some people are starting to go down that road, and that's okay, and that's their opinion. But I'm curious why. What ultimately makes you think that? I have seen a lot of questions about Kyle Shanahan's play calling, and if you have a problem with Kyle Shanahan's play calling, please explain to me why. Because we watched the film, and there shouldn't be a lot of calls for that. But I would like to know other people's perspectives because maybe they see it differently than we do, and that's okay. We can have a conversation about it. But I think ultimately when it comes down to it at 1 o'clock on Sunday, we're all going to be rooting for the 49ers to win. And the 49ers need to get this victory and change the fortunes of early on in the season, get us into a bye, get us healthy, so we can go to the Colts and take care of business. And I think if we do, it's going to change everyone's outlook on this season and what everyone believes the 49ers can accomplish.
Accurate, Ant. Very accurate indeed. Let us know, Cutback crew. And the big time on the play calling and things of that nature. And if you're not sure, if you're sitting there going, well, I've watched the game back and I've watched the replay, go watch the All-22 film. Gives you a much different perspective because you're able to see things that you're not able to see on the normal telecast. Head on over to our Patreon and you can get a look at that breakdown. You can just mute us if you want. You can just shut us up. You don't agree with us, that's fine. You can shut us up and just watch the All-22 film yourself. We're maybe on the screen, but we're not blocking nothing. You'll get a nice view of it over there on Patreon. We'll see any of you and all of our patrons over there. And until the next one, Cutback crew and the faithful, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.